All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Resource Insider podcast. And today we are sitting down with Adrian Rothwell, the CEO, president, and of course, a director of Angold Resources, an exploration company looking for, I assume you could probably guess it from the name, gold, focused on Nevada and Chile. An interesting conversation. Let me get that right. An interesting combination in two of the most prospective regions in the world for gold and subsequently for copper exploration. So we're going to talk to Adrian today. We're going to hear what Angold's all about. They're about to list on the TSXV. They might have listed by the time you listen to this. So everyone pay attention. Let's see what Adrian has to say. Adrian, thanks for sitting down today with me.
Hi everyone. Thank you, Jamie, and good to be talking to you.
So, Angold exploration, what is it?
Yeah, so Angold Resources, new listing, as you mentioned. We're bringing to market two drill-ready properties with historic resources on them, four properties in total. So we're taking a bit of a portfolio approach and maximizing our chances of success. And each of the drill projects, excuse me, one is in the Maricunga district in northern Chile, and the other is in the Battle Mountain Trend of Nevada. So they've got a substantial amount of historic work on them. These are projects that were well known in previous gold cycles, and they've been sitting in private hands. So we're bringing them out of the woodwork, and we think that they have a lot of potential.
So why focus on both Nevada and Chile in one company? So the first thing people might say is those are an awfully far, way apart. Do you see a synergy there? Is there a reason this came about, or was it a luck of the draw of these were the best assets you found, and this is where God happened to put them? What does that look like?
Bit of column A and a bit of column B. I mean, you've good quality gold projects are very rare. I've seen probably hundreds of projects in my career, and you kind of, as miners, we're used to going where the gold is, and our focus here was to take a portfolio approach. So we have four projects total. We will be working on all four of them, and two of them, by the way, are in the Maricunga, so it's not a stretch for us to do that. And we've got one in Nevada. We are focused on the Americas. It's easier time zone for us all to work in and collaborate. Not that that's a big concern, but I think, you're looking at very rare projects. So you kind of go where the projects are. And our approach is really to look at districts that have proven themselves to host large deposits as well. And that's what we want to do. We want to find a large deposit.
So you mentioned you looked at, hundreds of projects for the course of your career. Let's maybe drill into that a little bit. What has been your career to date, Adrian, and how did you end up being both the president and the CEO of a junior exploration company?
Sure. Well, I'm a CPA by trade. So, I'm not a geologist, but, I've been in the mining sector, mainly juniors, since about 1995. Loved the sector when I first moved out of public practice in 95. And opened a bit of a packaged office running the regulatory programs for a bunch of juniors. Just love the people. I love the diversity, the travel aspect, and that kind of comes into having projects in Nevada and Chile as well. you know, although that's been hampered a little bit now, you know, we do expect to be able to do a bit more travel in 2021, and definitely as we grow the projects getting into 2022. Most recently, I was in the strategy function in Gold Corp, and left there at the end of 2015 to start a company called Core Mining, and that was on the finding two projects, one from Gold Corp in California. So used to working in the US. That was an old Glamis gold project called Imperial, and there I remain a director on there. They're running with that, yeah, most of my career has been in juniors. So, you know, obviously I've moved from CFO into a strategy function at Gold Corp, and then into CEO roles in the last 6 years.
So, you know, that's leads me to a question that I've wondered for a while. You know, when someone works in strategy in a major company, what does that actually mean?
It means you learn a lot. I mean, the role itself, I would say, was half internal and half external. So,
Okay.
when I say externally focused, you know, we're doing a lot of industry analysis, a lot of project analysis, looking at ways of gaining competitive advantage against other companies. You know, Barrick, and at that time Newmont, Kinross, and the like, all the majors. So doing a lot of comparative studies, and then, you know, there's the execution side of it. So we were also looking at internal systems and structures and how we would streamline that. So it was a very, very interesting role. I definitely learned a lot, in particular around the engineering side of projects. You know, I'm not an engineer, as I said before, but you know, just the amount of rigor that majors really do look for when they look to buy a project, the kind of due diligence that they want to see when they go and look to buy a project as well, gave me a lot of really good insight into that. You know, and streamlining staff as well, and how that can be done in a bigger company, as you know.
Yeah.
So very interesting.
So let's dig in a little bit into your portfolio and why you've acquired particularly these two star assets in Chile and in Nevada. So where should we start? You know, you take the lead on this one.
Yeah, I think probably best to start with our flagship project in Chile, called Dorado. You know, this is a project that has the core of a historic resource of around 600,000 ounces. Yeah, 525,000 ounces. I think, though, that the resource was based on historic drilling done in the 90s and mid 2000s, and if I was looking at the previous owner of the resource, you know, really rushed to get to the resource. There's a lot of opportunity. We don't think they've hit the core of the resource. And there's a lot of opportunity around it. So what we've done is staked the actual core of the deposit, and the what we call the Lajitas claims is about 1,600 hectares. And in the last few months, we've gone and staked an additional 13,500 hectares around that, based upon geophysics and surface testing. We've had teams down there looking on the property, as well as you know, some satellite imagery as well, which is very effective in that part of the world where there's no tree cover.
And what, you say it's around the core of the deposit. What type of deposit, what style of deposit are we looking at here?
Yeah, so Maricunga, typical gold porphyries.
Gold
These are
porphyry.
diorite porphyries. It's very similar in mineralization to Lobo Mate right across the road. And that's the Kinross deposit and Hochschild's volcan as well.
Okay. And so I'm just looking through your drill results here, which,
Yeah,
pretty big intercepts here, 261 meters at 0.91 grams per ton gold. What sort of depths are you guys finding these historically based on historic drilling?
yeah. Well, historic drilling average depth was only about 300 meters.
So they were
So
intersecting the ore body at 300 meters, or the total depth of the hole was
from surface.
from surface?
Yeah,
Okay.
from surface. Yeah. So total depth of the drill hole was 300 meters. So very shallow drilling. A lot of the drilling ended in strong mineralization. And one of the highlights on this particular project is the thickness of the oxide cap. So a lot of the drilling ended in oxides as well, and we're looking at around a 300 meter thick oxide cap, which is amazing in this part of the world.
And is that at surface, or is that at
Yeah,
depth, or yeah, it's at
yeah, yeah.
surface.
That's from
So
surface.
so mineralization starts right at surface here.
Yeah,
Is that
yeah,
correct? Okay.
yeah.
And what
And of
kind of
course,
grades are you getting in the oxide cap here?
yeah, we're getting around that 0.6 to 1 gram per ton. There is some higher grade, but the historic resource is around that 0.6 grams per ton, and that's a great grade for this style of deposit. It's very continuous. It's very cheap to mine from surface. Very inexpensive to leach because it's oxide. Yeah, so this is
And
a lot
yeah,
of the deposits around this area are around 0.5 grams per ton.
so looking at this, you mentioned it was a gold porphyry. Is there a copper component to this as well, or is it pure
No,
gold? Yeah.
no, this is gold. Yeah, just gold.
All right. And so, I'm looking at your slides now. It says historically you have about 452,000 ounces at half a gram per ton gold.
Yeah.
If that, okay, that's correct. What scale do your, not competitors, but your comparatives in the region need to be at? Like, how big does something like this need to be considered a mine in that part of the world?
Well, there's certainly an added cost to operating at that elevation. These elevations are anywhere from 4,000 to 5,000 meters above sea level.
Yeah.
However, there's infrastructure pretty much to site. We've got existing roads to site. There's power. So in terms of resource size, that really depends on what you're looking at in terms of metallurgy. And if you're talking oxide, then you're already there. Now, of course, that's not our objective. So we're open both laterally in oxide and at depth in sulfides, and that's where we want to expand the resource. And our objective is a couple of million ounces. So, and I think you start getting to that 2 million ounce level, then it's a compelling project. Of course, we'd like to go way more than that. It's
You
early
haven't
days.
started exploration yet on site yet.
No, just
or at
surface.
least not drilling. Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll be drilling. We're deploying drills now, and we've been doing targeting work up to now while we've been private, and we'll be doing a 5,000 meter drill program. So it'll be 10 holes of 500 meters. Of course, that'll depend on whether we're still in mineralization at 500 meters. We'll keep going, but the initial plan is 10 holes at 500 meters, and A couple of step out holes. We'll be looking at depth, stepping out at depth in some of the stronger areas of mineralization where it ended in mineralization with previous drilling, as well as looking at some of the targets that we're looking at surface.
And how much of this drilling is, I guess, what you'd call confirmatory drilling, where you're trying to reestablish historic resources, and how much of it is devoted to actually expanding this resource into sort of the unknown?
Yeah, I'd say out of the 10 holes, you're probably looking at 3 or 4 that are confirmatory, in the sense that they will also be step out because they will be deeper holes as well. So we're kind of hitting a couple of different objectives on the head with each hole as well. So we're being very strategic as to where we drill, so that we can hit with each of our holes, say a QA/QC objective, an infill objective, and an extension at depth. So.
Okay. And I think you mentioned this already, but when is it? When will drilling? When is it planned to begin?
January.
January. Okay.
Yeah.
And so, when is it that you guys think, and I understand there's a lot of delays right now with this all over the world due to coronavirus, but when do you think you'll start having drill results and assay results that are able to come out and be reported to shareholders in the market?
I would be hoping, you're drilling, there'll be 2 drills. It's a 3.5 month total program. You're doing about, include a couple of weeks of mob at the beginning and a couple of weeks of demob at the end. You're looking at around 1,000 meters a month per drill. And I think that we'll start releasing early results to the market by beginning of February. Sorry, you're muted.
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah. Okay. So good. So that's coming up pretty quick then for you guys.
Yeah. We're busy.
And maybe more importantly, or equally importantly, in the meantime, as we're recording this, you were in the final processes of listing on the TSXV.
Correct.
That will probably be done before the end of December is the plan at this point?
Yep. Yeah, it absolutely will be. If not next week, that is the week of the 11th.
Yeah.
It'll be the following week, the week of the 18th.
So before we get into the iron, Butte?
Butte, yeah.
Butte.
Iron Butte.
Yep. The Iron Butte property. Let's talk a little bit about the actual structure of the company and the financial structure. So where are you guys at? You guys have presumably raised money and you're financed through the drill programs?
Yeah, so we are going to be coming out to market with around 84 million shares.
Mm-hmm.
There are no warrants. We have a small amount, about 1 million finders warrants for the most recent financing we did. So there's no warrants. So that's basic and diluted. There will be a small amount of options for management and to board as well. But the only free trading stock coming out here will be the sub receipts. And
so that's
about
24% of all stock, I guess, at this point?
Yeah, about a quarter of all stock. So there's most of the remaining stock, which is widely held, we were able to get that locked down in escrow right up front.
Mm-hmm.
But we raised $8 million with the sub receipts. So we will probably have about 8.5 million in the bank when we're out drilling right now. So clearly, those funds are going to last for 4 or 5 months. They're good for our drill programs on both Dorado and Iron Butte. But obviously, if results start coming in early, and I will, we'll be wanting to raise some more money to keep the drills turning.
So, just thinking about this, your last financing was done by subscription receipt at 40 cents. So that puts you at
Correct.
what, 33, $34 million market cap.
Yep.
Um, okay. And you got $8.5 million in the bank. All
Yep.
right. So pretty strong financial shape at that point. So let's talk about where the other portion of that money is going to Iron Butte.
Yeah, sure. So Iron Butte is in the Battle Mountain Trend of Nevada, and Iron Butte's a project with a 600,000 ounce historic resource. Again, about half of that is in oxide, half is in sulfide. And, I sound like a broken record talking about Iron Butte versus Dorado, but definitely different mineralization. I mean, this is an epithermal gold deposit, but it has been drilled historically. 31,000 meters has been drilled in this area on this project, but very shallow, and a lot of that is RC as well. So we're planning to go back to. We've been looking at structure. We've been out on site. We've staked additional ground around the core of the resource, which is on option ground, very favorable option terms for us. But the state ground, obviously, we own that outright. And we'll be testing a lot of the structure with core drilling as well. Again, around 5,000 meters of drilling that we're planning for probably beginning around March next year. So that's a little bit further down the road, but again,
and is there a historic resource associated with Iron Butte?
Yeah. So it's around 600,000 ounces. The grade is 0.62 grams per ton. But interestingly, on this, when they did some metallurgical testing on the project, the previous operators, this is probably going back to 2009, 2010. They found the recovery rates were over 100%. And now that's obviously not right, but what that means is that the historic grades that they were finding, that they were assaying from historic drilling, were underreporting.
Right. So they were losing recovery or something like that. In
Something
the drill core.
like that.
Yeah.
So
interesting. So, I guess what I want to talk to you about today is, how do you why do investors want to invest in Angold? What advantage do you guys offer to some of your peers or competitors in the space?
Well, definitely a leg up. I mean, we got projects. We know there's gold on there. We know we're going to get some good results, and we know we're going to add a lot of ounces on both of these projects. So, as I mentioned at the top of the show, I think if you're investing in gold assets, you want to make sure that that each investment you have has as many opportunities as they can possibly have to add gold to their balance sheet, if it were. And that's what we offer. I think that we're in two very interesting areas that offer us a strategic opportunity as well. If we do find gold in each of these areas, there are strategic opportunities that we would expect to come our way that could allow us to monetize the assets sooner than later as well. Now, I'm not saying that that's our end game, but you always have to think of these things when you are running a junior company. Typically, I think juniors are very, very good at exploring, adding ounces and finding ounces, and the experience I had in Goldcorp really did daylight to me that when you start moving beyond that preliminary economic assessment, or maybe even a PFS stage, juniors should be keeping their options open for selling projects rather than trying to build them out.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've got the Iron Butte page open in front of me. What,
Right.
in your opinion, does a project in Nevada need to demonstrate before it starts becoming attractive to some of the majors operating there, be it the Barrick Newmont or, Kinross's or whomever? What's the goal here? What do you need to establish before people start paying attention?
Yeah, well, the first thing is land package.
Yeah.
You look at Newmont, and it's a patchwork quilt of small, insignificant claims, and when you're looking at an asset to buy it in a, say, a producing company, you want to make sure that there's enough. Not only do you have a core resource that's attractive, but you've got a ton of exploration upside in the area. And you don't have to waste a lot of your time going around trying to put together land packages. So that's why we've staked where we think the highest value alteration and opportunities lie in that area. Other things they're going to look at is structure. So we've had our team out on site looking at structure. Marcus Johnston has been helping us as a consultant and really likes the project. But his strength and his expertise is on structure, and you want to make sure that if you do have the mineralizing fluids on a project like this, that it has the opportunity to be large enough to attract a large resource, which we are
Yeah.
seeing on this project.
Well, obviously, something that you need to be considering, and I'm sure in a place like Nevada, is permitting and permitting timelines.
Yeah.
And I've dealt myself and some of our portfolio companies with dealing with patented versus unpatented land, getting drill permits in Nevada and the Western United States. What's the situation for you guys?
Yeah. Well, this is unpatented BLM land. So we're dealing with an agency that is very familiar with mining.
Yeah.
Nevada is a very familiar place for us to operate and obtain permits. The permitting process in the United States, although it can be lengthy, is very clear, and we're in a good area for that.
And
So,
where are you? Do you have drill permits yet in Nevada, or is that
we'll be
process
applying
begun?
for drill permits, and we don't expect a problem with those.
Okay.
So,
Do you have it? So you think, again, I think you noted by March, you expect to have those in
yeah,
place and be willing to
yeah,
be able to start moving.
yeah,
All right. And
correct.
how does that look in Chile? That's a jurisdiction I'm less familiar of. I've never worked in Chile. What what is the permitting situation like? Where are you guys along that process? Do you have access to water and things like that, is required to run a drill program in that part of the world?
Yeah, so we're already permitted, and we've updated our permits, so we're ready to go on that front. Things like, obviously they do look at everything we would look at in North America. Where are you drilling? What's your impact going to be? How are you reclaiming this? And so there's a plan, and that plan's been done and approved. Yes, we have access to water, and that's
And what is that? Is that a well on site? Is that trucking water in? What's it look like?
no, that'll be trucking for the drill program.
Mhm.
That's probably the easiest thing for us to do right now. But there's two operating mines across the road. They've got access to water, and yes, it is a difficult area for water, but it is there.
Okay. Is there, I guess, what I'm thinking of, for investors that are considering coming in now that they like the story, What are the nearer term catalysts that people can look forward to? Is it getting these assay results back? Is there anything else people should have an eye out for?
Well, definitely the work we're doing on
Mhm.
site, and I think the near term, we are looking at complementary land packages around all of our projects. So that's definitely one catalyst. Um, I would say the biggest catalyst would be drill results. I mean, you're going to be looking at some drill results, say around February, um, and that'll be consistent, through to mid year, through to August, assuming that we're still drilling in Iron Butte, and then getting ready for the next drill season in Chile, which will be in September.
And Adrian, something I wanted to ask you at the beginning, which I hadn't yet, is how did this all come together? Did you pull these projects together? Were you one of the founders of Angold, or did you join in a later date? What was the genesis here?
No, unlike the previous company I founded, no, I was not involved in pulling these assets together. The
Mhm.
team, the other board members, I should mention, were um, critical in pulling these assets together. So you've got Galen McNamara of Suma Silver.
Yep.
Uh, he's been involved with the private company side for many years. Brandon Bonifacio, a former colleague of mine, and he has just been working in Chile in the Maricunga,
Mhm.
so he was very familiar with these
With Gold
assets as
Corp,
well.
right?
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly.
So
Yep.
I know Galen and Brandon both very well. They're both around my
Yeah,
age, and yeah. Hmm.
yeah, yeah. And Ronnie Zimmerman is a Chilean lawyer, well-known Canadian Chilean out of Santiago, and so these three, in addition with a couple of other people behind the scenes, have pulled this together very well. Like I'm impressed. I've been involved since about August, September of
And
this
what
year.
was it? I'm looking through your resume here. You've got some big names on there, some big jobs. What was it that attracted you to this? We're dealing with this in the mining market right now. There's more projects than capable CEOs at the moment. So
Yeah,
anyone that could, you know, being a bit facetious, but you know, there are a lot of opportunities right now for good CEOs and capable
yeah.
CEOs. Why did you choose to, devote your time to this project? What attracted you?
The first thing was absolutely the team, and knowing Brandon, and being introduced to Galen, Ronnie, and others behind the scenes. Like them all, work really well with them, um, and when you're presented an opportunity with projects that have such good pedigree, um, really low hanging fruit on them, to be able to expand the projects and access to capital as well. So yes, there are a lot of projects out there, but there's not. It takes more than that just to make a successful company. And I was very impressed with the ability to raise capital, and and yeah, I mean, I think it's a good structure. I'm invested. I've invested in every round, including the latest one, and will continue to do so.
All right. Before we say goodbye, is there anything I haven't asked? Is there anything investors or potential investors should know about Angold before we sign off?
All I would say is there's a lot of information on our website, so please do visit us at angoldresources.com. And you'll be able to see the other two projects as well, and the Cordillera project. We are aiming to drill in the next drill season at the end of 2021 in
Mhm.
Chile. Um, I think that about wraps it up.
All right, Adrian, thank you very much for taking the time today.
Thank you, Jamie.
All right.
Yeah,
Bye
thank
for
you.
now.